John Shagnon, PcsOutdoors.com. We carry traps by most of the leading manufacturers today. We inventory Bridger traps, Duke traps, Minnesota brand traps, and a host of other traps. Those are the most common, is the Bridger, Duke, Minnesota brand, and pretty much all the traps on the market today are just very nice, superior traps. The trapper today has better choices at a very affordable price compared to years ago. I've just picked several of the traps from our inventory, and this is some of the popular coil springs, and I'll just kind of start from one end of the spectrum on a 1.5 coil spring, but there's one size smaller, a number 1 coil spring, which is popular with mink, muskrat, and raccoon trappers. But this is probably 2 of our best-selling traps. We got a Bridger 1.5 coil spring and a Duke 1.5 coil spring. The Duke 1.5 coil spring comes in both offset jaws, regular jaws, and double jaws. The double jaws prevent gnawing and chewing and gives more padded. The offset is less likely to cause breakage. Once again, it matters on your particular set location and your target species. One of the reasons the 1.5 coil spring is so popular is that it's a perfect trap from everything from mink, muskrat, and raccoon to in water sets to fox and raccoons on land sets. If you're targeting coyote, it's not the trap for you, but I've actually held some coyotes in 1.5s in the past, but my experience is most will pull out. As you can see, the Duke trap's a well-made trap, very affordable. Comes with a grounder lock that pretty much goes down a grounder wire and won't allow the animal to come back at water sets, or a re-rod stake can simply be placed through the swivel. Almost flat setting when it comes out of the box. Otherwise you'll have to do a couple adjustments, bending it back, and you adjust by a little bolt and screw if the tension needs to be lighter or tighter. And as you can see, there's pretty much all the dimensionals, and we'll be doing a separate video on the Minnesota brand, as they have cast jaws and just some outstanding traps that are made in the USA, and we'll do a separate video on those. This is a 1.5 Bridger coil spring, and I really like this trap. Slightly different pan system, but it's one of my favorites. Likewise, that's a straight jaw, and I'll identify when we get to an offset. What I've got here is a 1.65 Bridger coil spring, also available in, this trap has 2 coils, and likewise I'll identify when we get to 4 coil, which is a faster trap, more holding power, and they're very popular. And what I have here is a 1 3/4 offset Duke. So now we get to show you the offset trap. This is a 4 coil. As you can see, the 4 coils underneath the trap. This is offset, and it's one of the best sellers that we have for both fox, coyote, land sets. Very strong trap with those 4 coils. To show you the difference, I have 1.75 4 coil. The only difference is on a 2 coil it would just have the 2 coils on the one side and not these smaller coils. You pay a little more, but the traps are going to last longer and have more holding power. But if Leslie will zoom in and show you the difference between the offset, where there's a little gap, and the straight jaw. My preference is offset on land sets to prevent bone breakage, and the straight jaw on drowner sets. I have a Duke number 3 rubber jaw trap. This is used by the live catch market, wildlife control agencies. There's rubber jaws and there's replacement jaws available. But anyways, used by the live catch market or required in some areas. Likewise, any of these traps, once I make a catch on land, usually the coyote season starts before the beaver and otter, and I use all 3 of these traps on my beaver line, and pretty much just take them from the land sets, put a clean trap in on the remake, and use the ones that have caught a coyote to catch myself a beaver or an otter. A favorite I have is the Bridger number 3 coil springs, and when these get set off, I'll show you the difference between the straight jaw, the 4 coil, and so one's 4 coiled offset and one's 4 coiled straight jaw. We'll find out once they get set off. What's really nice about the Bridger traps is they come with this double box swivel inline chain underneath. Very well built trap, flat setting. I have caught many a beaver, otter, and coyote and bobcat with these traps. That is a 2 coil, and straight jaws, there's no gap in between. The reason for the offset is primarily for land trapping, but still works for beaver and otter. Just telling you a preference. What I have here is a 4 coiled Bridger number 3, and Duke makes a number 4 coiled, and it's very popular, similar to this number 3. We'll do another video another day on Sleepy Creek and the Minnesota brand, and the Minnesota brand and Sleepy Creek brands are just outstanding traps too, and can only do so many videos and describe so many in a video.